finances. Yep. And I am a qualified accountant. I deal in business and personal finance. I am able to sign off accounts, tax returns, and all of those kinds of things. What else? Personal finance. So, helping people get their budget sorted, managing their debt to come out of debt, and other, general things all related to finance. The whole point of Benny Ratio Finances is to take complicated concepts, all the jargon and all of that kind of stuff that some of us don't quite understand, and make it simple for the everyday person so that they're able to have, success with their finances, whether that be personal or business.
Amazing. So Benedicta, tell us, why do you think that 2020 is, in your experience with people, working with people and working with clients, and even in business as a professional, why do you think that 2020 might be the time to increase our income if we are struggling? I know some people don't really need that extra income, but for those who do, why is now the time to increase our income through business? Okay. Let me see if she's still here with us. I think we lost her for a moment. Okay. So if anyone has any questions on the side, feel free to drop it in the chat. I think Benedicta will be with us soon. Lost her for a quick second. Today has been an amazing day of tech, of experiencing tech wonders, shall I say. It's definitely one for the books. Yeah, so, I'm getting some hearts from Correct. Thank you, Correct. I do need some hearts, and I love it. I love the love. Okay, so Sylvia is asking, what do I need to consider before starting business in terms of financials and account? Amazing question. So once Benedicta comes back, she's going to get us, and she'll answer that. She'll answer that. So if you have any other questions, please drop it in the chat. There's obviously, some, and you know what? Do you know something else? I think Benedicta is.
I don't know what is going on this morning.
Okay.
Everything is fighting against this. I'm now on an iPad.
Awesome. Awesome. And aren't you so blessed that you have the ability to go from a laptop to another laptop to an iPad?
Well, thank God, because I don't know what we would have done if we could.
Exactly. Sylvia said, it means you really need it. The devil's like, exactly,
It's crazy. I've never had so many challenges like this before.
I totally get what you mean. Yeah, I get what you mean. And I'm getting messages that people can't even get into this room.
Seriously?
I'm like, what?
I can't understand. This is okay, sorry, my husband is here. I think he's fixed it.
Hi, Mr. Egbeme. I'm so sorry. I don't know if I pronounced your name the right way.
No, it's fine, Egbeme. Hold on. He says I can go back onto the laptop now. Can I go back onto the laptop?
You can log on device.
Yeah, maybe just in case, right?
Yeah.
So how do we set this up so that
So let me know in the chat, for the rest of you, if you've ever tried to do something and it didn't work the way you wanted.
Honestly.
And obstacles kept on coming up. Let me know. Or is it just me that experiences this? Let me know in the chat. Let me know. If you've ever, Sylvia says, yes, exactly. Yep, I experience it every couple of weeks. Yes, exactly. Yes. So I'm getting a lot of yeses now. And it's so true. Sometimes we want to achieve something and it doesn't happen the way we want it, or it doesn't happen when we want it, or it doesn't happen how we want it. But it doesn't mean that the answer isn't there. It's reminding me of in the Bible when Daniel was praying, and he was praying for this thing, and then he didn't get the answer, and he kept on praying and kept on praying every single day for 21 days. And after 3 weeks of consistent prayer and not seeing the result, this angel came to him and told him that once he prayed, the answer was sent, but because the prince of Persia was stopping the answer, he was unable to get the answer. But imagine if he had given up and said, you know what, I give up. It's not working. My prayer is not going to be answered. I'm not going to move forward. So my auntie Chinelo says, yeah, the challenges add colors to our life. Exactly, they add colors to our lives. And it's important because, even in our finances, when we're trying to achieve certain goals, you're trying to build a business, pay off debt, save for a particular goal, we will face obstacles. Trust me, the day you decide I'm going to save £1,000, if you've never saved it before, you decide I'm going to save £1,000, then your washing machine is going to break down. Your cousin is going to call you that he needs something. Your children will need something to be paid for. Like, all those things will start coming, and it happens so that you never get to save that £1,000. And then the next month comes, and then you want to do the same thing. And then some other bill comes in and something else comes in, and it happens. And we live in that perpetual cycle of paycheck to paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. And the only way to break it is to be like, instead of saying, okay, well, these are the circumstances and I'm just going to give into the circumstances, we make a stand and say, no, I'm going to do ABC. I'm going to save that £100. If I wanted to save 500, maybe I can't save the whole 500. So I'm going to save 50. I'm going to save 70. I'm going to save 100. Once I save that, irrespective of what happens, then I move, then the next month comes and I find that next 50, I find that next 100, I find the next 70, and I keep building until I get to that £1,000 savings. And in any kind of situation, that's how we do it. We don't give into the situations, but we recognize situations and we just find a way to still achieve our goals. If you ever feel like you're constantly in that cycle where there's obstacles to achieving, especially financial goals, and you constantly feel that cycle of obstacles, you need to take a stand on what exactly you want to happen. And you'll see that things will start to merge and converge to your favor. There's something that, when the Bible talks about, when I can't remember exactly where, but it's in Genesis, and the Bible talks about how when God is saying sin wants to master you, but you must master it. And it's the same. Money wants to master us. It wants to tell us what to do, when to do it, how to do it. But we must master it by saying money is a tool. It's not dictating how I live, but I'm going to use it to create the life that I want to live. I'm going to use it to achieve the goals that I want to achieve. Okay, I think Benedicta is back. I'm going to slow down on my rambling and hand over to her. So, Benedicta, we're just talking for a moment about why 2020 might be the time for some of us to start our businesses, especially if we need extra income.
2020 or 2021? I was gonna say. So yeah, to be fair, I think it's right that actually you actually said 2020, because we can't talk about 2021 without the fact. Sorry, I am trying to put this on. I'm gonna read this because it's double echoing. We can't talk about being in 2021 without, everything that happened in 2020. And actually, it's because of everything that happened in 2020 that I say that business in 2021 is not even an option, whether it's a side hustle, whether it's a full-blown business, whether you're juggling both or whatever. The thing is about business is that you have an opportunity to create money for yourself. and I thank God that this is a Christian forum. I was listening to a man of God this week, and he said that provision is not in a place, it's in a person. Yeah. So when you tie your income to maybe one organization, one job, or one specific thing, you are limiting the income that could come. You as a person, you have an opportunity to be able, or you are blessed in a way. The Bible says that we should be fruitful and multiply, right? So we have multiplication within us, right? So the thing that I love about business, and why I say everybody should be doing business, whether you're a 9-to-5, a nurse, a doctor, whatever it is, why you should be doing business is because within you, you have an inherent ability to be able to produce income, to produce wealth, to produce finances, right? And business allows you that opportunity. Of course, we know business can be anything. It can be doing hair, to doing nails, to an IT company, to, I don't know, what else, a chair company or whatever. There's so many, business covers everything, down to even service-based business. The accounting services that I provide, they're service-based business, down to coaching, right? We know that there are many people who have just sold their expertise, sold what they know, sold their experience, even motivational speakers. All they do is say, I was going through a tough time and I was able to come out of it. You can do it too. Give me my money for the ticket, and they make money. So that's why I think that business is for everybody, because, like I say, there's no limit. Whereas when you have a specific job and a specific profession, you're limited to that one way of gaining income. Whereas with business, you can do it in so many different ways. And actually, even with one business, so I use myself as an example, even with one business that is an accounting business, right? And you decide that that's the one area you want to go, you're able to diversify. So for example, I'm here speaking to you guys. I get paid to speak to people. Apart from the accounting that I do, I'm paid to speak to people. I also do workshops. I'm paid to do those workshops. I could write a book and people will pay me from that same book. And this is all with accounting. Likewise, like I say, I'll use something very practical and very simple. I love my practical skills. I always say a woman who knows how to use her hands can never go hungry. Making hair. From being the person that actually does the hair, you can start to sell the products, right? There's no reason why you can't start selling the hair extensions or the weave on, or you can't start buying in hair cream. And when you go to do people's hair, now not only are they paying you to do the hair, but you're selling them products, or maybe you make your own products as well. So every business has the opportunity to provide so many different streams of income. And that's why I believe that business is for everybody.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you're basically saying from one business idea,
yes,
we have the ability within us to create different ventures from that same thing. It doesn't have to be, oh, I need more money, I'm going to do hair. Oh, I need more money, I'm going to learn to cook. Oh, I need more money, I'm going to learn to do interior decoration. Yeah. It can still be hair, but we can create different things. Exactly. So tell me, how do we know if we have a great business idea? Because this is really really good stuff. But how do we know? Let's say now I have an idea. I want to do this. Let's say I give you several. I'm really great at. I have a little reading club with my kids, and I love reading to them. So let's say I want to do that as a business. Like, how do I know if it's actually good?
Yeah, I would say in simple English, do you have somebody that is willing to pay you for this service? Number one, that's it. When there is an exchange of money for a good, a service, or time, or whatever, there's a market, right? Of course, markets have different sizes. So you can have a big market. So if you think about people who sell bread, or Tesco's and Aldi and Asda and all those kind of shops, you can have a big market. Why? Because everybody needs to buy food. Not everybody has children. Maybe even if people do have children, not everybody wants to be part of a book club, so it reduces the size of the market. But for as long as there is someone that is willing to pay for that service, you have a business as far as I'm concerned. Forget all the big jargon and you must have a 20-page business plan. No, business in the simple term, when we think about in the olden days, Bible days or whatever, as long as a transaction can take place, you have a viable business. Like I said, yes, we need to do the research How big is the market? Is it only one person? Are there more people? Where are those people located? Do I have competitors? Oh, we do need to do that aspect, but in a simple aspect, in the simple term, should I say, as long as somebody is willing to pay you, you have a business.
That's amazing. So in your point of view, would you think that there's anything like a bad business idea?
A business idea that doesn't pay you is a bad business idea. What I would say is that, so I said yes in the raw sense. If somebody's willing to pay, then you have a business. The truth is, the business itself it might be how you deliver it that makes it bad. It might be how you price it that makes it bad. It might be the quality of products that makes it bad. So you can see one company that is selling, I don't know, a hairbrush, and but it's not that hairbrush is bad or the hairbrush business is bad, but they use the wrong products, and so nobody likes the hairbrush. Or maybe they've used the wrong color and nobody's going to buy a red hairbrush, for example. So it's not, I wouldn't say that it's the idea that's bad. The truth is, like I say, if somebody's willing to pay for it, then it's a business. It's just about how you implement it that will make it either good or bad.
Yeah, thank you for that. So literally there might never be a bad idea because people pay for anything, but
the fact that you can have a surrogate mother tells you that people can pay for anything. People pay for you to carry their child out. For me, that's amazing. Like, that's a business.
That's a high paying business as well. So Benedicta, I want to ask you, do you know of any myths that people have when starting a business, or when thinking about starting a business, or when even running a business, that holds them back from really increasing their income?
I think depending on your background, depending on where you come from, depending on your audience, you will be, some people are limited because of their environment and where they've grown up in. And I would say, especially, for example, in the African Caribbean community, we have this notion of, oh, this is too expensive, or we don't do this kind of thing. Or, so for example, I give you an example. There's a lady in my church, she bakes, right? And she makes meat pies. And I normally buy them from somewhere else, but I was saying to myself, actually, I want to move over to somebody that's closer to me, and I want to, let me ask her if I can buy it from her. And I asked her, and I said, how much is it? And she said, oh, it depends on the price. And I said, okay, it depends on the size, sorry. And she said, the small one, did she say it was 50p or something like that? And the big one is £1. And I said to her, why are you charging 50p? She said, oh, you know how it is when you start, because that's the price that I told some people at first. So since then, I haven't been able to increase it. And then I said, I know how much I pay for one meat pie, like £1.50, for example. So why on earth would you be charging me £1? I was almost angry with her because she was not pricing. But I use that as an example. Why? Because of her mindset and the people around her. In her mind, she's not allowed to change her price or increase her price. In her mind, the people around me can only afford 50p, so therefore I can only charge 50p. Her problem is her environment and the people around her. If you move into another environment, people like myself and my colleagues, for example, who I know pay pounds and pounds and pounds for the standard, Nigerian food or whatever. If you get into a new circle, you realize that actually somebody's willing to pay up to £2 for this same thing that I've been charging 50p for one. So I would actually say that, I don't know how to articulate it succinctly, but, mindset and environment. Because she's not looking outside of her immediate circle, she's limited by the people around her. But if she maybe, for example, broaden her horizons to a new community. So for example, when you have a business, one of the things that's very important is your target audience. If you limit yourself to say, oh, I'm trying to serve my family members, my brothers, my sisters, you will be limited to what they can afford. But actually, if you say, I'm trying to serve high professionals, Harrods has a market. Does everybody go to Harrods? No. but there are people that can afford Harrods. So, you know, they've priced themselves to say, no, we don't really want the average working class person. Sorry, you know, if you can afford it, great. But we're actually trying to target the high end people, the Arabs and all of those people that come from abroad with their big money, you know, the politicians and the people that are loaded. That's their target market. And so they are able to sell the same bread that we're eating from Tesco for £1. They're able to make their own bread and sell it for £5, for example. So their target audience is so important as to, you know, setting, you know, should I say destroying barriers and allowing you to set new targets.
That's really amazing. So how our environment really affects the way, how much we earn. So really what you're saying is our environment can be messing with our money.
Yeah, definitely.
and you know, that's interesting because, you know, we use our five senses and we you know, the brain sees through, you know, our ears, our eyes, our eyes, our ears, you know, touch, sense, taste, what we see, what we experience around us, our five main senses. We get information, we translate that information from our environment, and we make an assumption of what is true. So based on what we see, what we hear, what we say with, you know, what we converse in our conversations with our friends, we decide what is true, and then we believe that this is actually very true when it might not be. Yeah. Because we know that there are many things that are visible that the eye cannot see.
Exactly.
But yeah, we make decisions based on what our eyes can see.
Yeah.
You know, there are many sounds and frequencies that the human ear cannot hear. Yet we make so many decisions based on what we hear. And, you know, and stuff like that. There are many things that we cannot feel based on temperature. If something is really cold, once you touch it, your fingers will go numb. If something is really hot, your nerve endings will burn up, so you wouldn't really feel those objects. Yet we make decisions on what we can feel and what we can see, what we can hear, which is our environment. And it really limits us. So that's really interesting in different ways.
What I would add to that as well, like you say, we limit ourselves based on our senses, but actually, if we know that based on what we see, based on what we hear, based on what we touch, based on what we feel, makes us to, you know, like you say, set the truth around us, then what we actually need to do is start seeing new things. We need to start hearing new things. We need to start going to new places. We need to expand. You know, even the Bible said to, God said to Abraham, as far as your eyes can see, right? As far as your eyes can see, can you count the stars? So actually what we need to do is change what we see. Change what we hear, change what we take in, change your circle. Don't limit yourself just to the few people. When you start to see new things, then you can start to imagine and bring in a new truth into your life.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Just like, you know, not letting your circumstances rule you, but making a decision to rule yourself. Amazing. Okay. So you mentioned target audience in your last explanation. And I just want to ask, for those people starting and even those already in business, if they want to increase their income, how can they, you know, how does target audience come into play with that? Because, you know, something that I find, and tell me if you experience it, is that we tend to want to sell to people that look very much like us.
Yeah.
So not necessarily in terms of color, but also in terms of like mindset or things that we do. So if you hang out in golf clubs, you probably target other people who hang out in golf clubs. If you do certain things, you target people who are similar to you and who are because it's something that you like, so you think that they may like it too. But sometimes from what you've said, I'm guessing like that might also be messing with our money.
Because if we're limiting it to what we alone like, and don't get me wrong, there's definitely a place of your personality. It's your business at the end of the day. You don't want to be doing something that you hate. That's not going to make sense. But if you limit it to just you, yourself, you know, it's just one side. It's one view of the world. There are so many other views. And so with target market, I would actually say that there's definitely a place of research, you know, to find out and when you do your research, you're doing it based on general, not based on me, myself and I, my mom, my cat, my dog, you know, but but just general research, even going on to Google, what are the most, I think there's lists that you can get, which is like the most searched phrases or the most searched things in the last week or in the last month on Google using like analytics. So now it's not about you, it's about, okay, in this environment in London, what are people searching? What are people talking about? Okay, I am in Africa, what do people like the most? In Nigeria, in this country, in that country, what do people like the most? If you do your research, then you start to see, okay, 50 million people are searching about, I don't know, hair products. Like I said, let's keep it very practical. 50 million people are searching about, oh, how do I fix this? Or how do I do? So you start to build up a picture of what people actually need, which links into my next point, which is about a needs-based business. Now, needs-based businesses are not the most sexy, as they like to say, or the most, attractive and all of that. But a needs-based business will have you continuously paying, will have customers continually coming into you. What's a needs-based business? For example, food. Even in the lockdown, only the food shops were, the essential supermarkets were allowed to be open. Everything else went out of the window. Needs-based business is something like accounting, because the tax man is always going to be there. They're always going to want to take their cut from everything. What else is a needs-based business? Even healthcare, people will always need their injections or their checkups, and it's actually a needs-based business. When you have a needs-based business, it allows you to continuously have a flow of income, not just for now. The challenge is sometimes people do businesses that are very temporal. So it's the same way, like even with the music industry. Okay, yeah, music itself lasts forever, but every song has a specific lifespan. There's only a very few great people that have been able to have a song that, spans through many generations. But it takes a long time, which is why every time you see an artist, they come out with a new song, a new album, a new this, I've got this for you, I've got that for you, because they're trying to stay relevant. No matter how great the old song was, people will ultimately forget and new things will come in. But if you have a needs-based business, people, after they've eaten, they come to Tesco, they spend £100, their trolley is full. Next week, they're back again. They're back again with an empty trolley. So yeah, needs-based business is quite important, in line with your target market research, as to see what people need.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. Okay. Just, so we don't run out of time, we got a question when you let me try and read it now. We got a question when you were logging in, and it was, what do I need to consider before starting my business in terms of financials and accounts?
Yeah, so there are two types of businesses, which I'm sure many of us are aware. You have I say there's two types. There are many types, but the two main types are, being registered as a self-employed person or being registered as a limited company. And of course, being registered as a limited company has its different shapes and forms as well. However, so before you start, one of the things I would say is understanding the pros and cons of each. Registering as a self-employed person is very easy, it's relatively cheap, and the administrative burden is the least of all business types, right? You just do one return at the end of the year. However, the business is registered, but really it's you that's registered as a self-employed person. So yes, you can conduct business, business transactions. However, if anything goes wrong in that business, it is against you as an individual, and it can ultimately, affect your personal assets. When you have a limited company, yes, it's more expensive, which is a negative thing. So for example, a standard accounts cost roughly just under £1,000 to get your accounts and all of those kind of things done. However, what you also get with that is the protection. So what I would say is, what kind of business am I going into? Is it the kind of business that something is more likely to go wrong, or if something goes wrong, the consequences are high? So what do I mean? You have somebody who is a gardener, for example. She comes into the house, they go into the garden and they mow the lawn and plant some flowers or whatever. When they finish, you pay them and they go. That kind of business, they do it on their own. It's in the garden. The risks are relatively small. But then you have, for example, a food business. I don't know if we heard, not recently, but a few years ago, Pret, for example, somebody had one of their sandwiches and the person died because they had an allergic reaction, and because they didn't write the right thing, in terms of what was included. They were taken to court or whatever. If that was a self-employed business, it wouldn't be the name Pret. It would be the owners that would have been taken to court, and whatever fees and whatever the conclusion of that legal battle that would have actually affected the owners. However, because they were a registered business, whatever the consequences of such a circumstance was, it was limited to that company. For me, if you were doing one-on-one coaching, you will log onto the laptop. I'm in my house, you're in your house. I give you a bit of advice, I encourage you, and then that's it. You pay me. Again, relatively high risk. You're not going to the person's house. You're not advising them, on anything too detailed. It's more about, a mindset thing. It's a one-on-one thing, relatively low risk. But actually, if I take myself and I go and advise a massive company and then they make a big decision, maybe for HR or finances, based on the advice that I've given them, again, what about if something goes wrong there and somebody, something negative happens there with that company? I want to make sure that I'm not going to be liable. So you want to look at what are the long-term or possible negative sides that could happen in your business? What are the risks? How high risk is it? And then that will help you decide, what kind of business do I want? Based on my research, based on what I think, okay, I think I can afford to actually just be self-employed. Or actually, no, I think it's important that I have that protection so that my business does not impact my personal life. It does not impact my personal finances. To have a business bank account, you have to be registered. No high street lender, no online bank is going to open a business bank account for you if you don't have either a UTR number to show that you're self-employed or a company registration number to show that you are a limited company. So now I'm moving into the financial side. If you need that to have a business bank account, then you need to choose one and not just trade, on its own. But again, like I said, if you do your research, depending on your type of business, then you should hopefully be able to come to a right conclusion. And of course, where necessary, you have to seek that professional advice because, professionals have seen it from many angles. We are exposed to many businesses, so we can tell you actually, for this, it's important that you are this kind of company or this kind of company and that you manage it in this kind of way.
Amazing. Thank you for that, Benedicta. Yeah, exactly. So depending on our goals, depending on what we want to achieve, then we choose if we're going to be a self-employed, like a sole trader, or a limited liability company.
Yes.
And stuff like that. Okay, that's amazing. If I'm starting a business, so let's say I'm a complete, I'm a professional. I work 9 to 5, I have a wonderful job. But now I've decided, I'd like to start a business on the side. At what point should I get registered? Because now I'm wondering, do I say, okay, I'll do this for the next 3 years and see how it goes? Or do I just, even though if I know I'm committed to this, I know that this is for the long term, I'm not dabbling. At what point would you suggest the person should get registered?
So I would suggest that the moment you start to receive income in your business above £1,000, so you are allowed, there is a what should I call, self-employed trading allowance, whereby you can actually earn income on the side, as they say, up to £1,000, and you don't have to be registered, you don't have to declare it. The moment you think that you are going to start earning more than £1,000 over a 12-month period, then I believe that it's important that you register, because now you're over the allowance, and technically anything you earn over and above £1,000 will require you to pay tax on it. And then you go into the other question, which I answered about, okay, so which business registration do I go for? Now, if you are already in a full-time employment, it's worth noting that whatever your earnings are, whatever tax bracket you are in, based on that employment, will affect how much tax you pay with your business. So let's say you're on £40,000 salary a year, right? You're just about to cross over into the higher tax bracket. If you are simply self-employed, whatever you earn above that, above your salary of 40,000 will be taxed at that higher rate. However, if you are a registered company, The money, you can earn the money in that company, and then you can take it out either as a dividend. You can take it out as a dividend. Dividend has an allowance of £2,000. So you can take £2,000 dividend from your company without having to pay any tax. But then also, because the money is going into that separate organization, you don't have to withdraw it, and therefore you don't have to pay the tax liability on top of it, if that makes sense. However, you can also determine to say, okay, I only want to take a little bit out, and so therefore I'll pay this amount of tax. So you have more control when you are a limited company with your full-time company. A lot of my customers are professionals who have opened up limited businesses on the side, and the 99% of them don't actually withdraw money from their company. I'm actually one of those people as well. Why? Because the truth is, I have my salary and I can afford to live on my salary. My business, I'm still building it up. When I leave my full-time employment and I decide to become fully a full business owner, then I can start thinking about the best ways to withdraw money, and we could start talking about the dividend, PAYE, and all of that kind of stuff, and the best way to draw it down.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that. And guys, if you have any questions, do put it in the chat. And so let me just ask a question, and I think it's very similar to what you just answered, but I'll read it out anyway. She said, how do you manage tax liability of being employed and running a business? So I think it's very similar, but I'll let you.
Yes. So as you said, I have just touched on it. So, you know, when you are an employee, you don't have any control over that. The tax is taken from your salary anyway. But when you have either a limited or a self-employment business, if you're self-employed, you will have to do a self-assessment return. And so therefore you will automatically have to just be taxed on whatever it is that you've earned. Obviously, like I said, over and above £1,000. And when you're a limited company, you can then decide how to draw down the money, and therefore almost plan how much tax you want to pay and how much tax you don't want to pay as an individual. It's worth also noting that when you have a limited company, apart from the tax that you will pay as the owner for drawing money down, your company will also pay tax on profits. So it's worth saying that there's two tax implications when you have a limited company. There's a tax for you as an individual, and then there's a tax for the actual company.
Awesome, Benedicta. And now this ties in with another question I received. But now, if we had said in the beginning that it's really great to start a business because, you know, it's a great way to increase your income right now, you know, quickly. However, there's a fear of tax. There's this fear of, I don't want to pay tax. I don't want to pay that much tax. How much tax will I be charged? How do I make sure that I save that tax? How do I make sure that I'm paying that tax? All this tax fear really sometimes holds people back from actually starting, registering their business, being able to grow it, being able to increase their income greatly. And it just keeps them really stuck, and it keeps them really wondering, like, maybe I should just leave this as a hobby. Maybe I should just leave this as a, under, little £100 here and there. How would you help someone through that?
So I would say, going back to one of our first questions about mindset, I'm sorry to say, it's a very poor mindset. It's a poverty mindset. I'm sorry to say. I have a lot of people that I talk to that say that. The truth of the matter is, right, and I'll link it to a principle that we all know about, which is tithing, right? God asks for 10% of your income. He doesn't ask for 10% of anything that you have not earned. When you earn it, then you need to pay 10%, right? And likewise, we can copy that concept into business. The government are not going to ask you for anything that you have not earned. However, what they're saying is, if you have earned something, there is an element that we need to take. And I think that if we have the right mindset, we are privileged to live in an environment that's quite well organized. You know, we have council tax, so people come and collect our rubbish, the street lights and all of that. It's only right that you pay and give unto Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and you keep for yourself what belongs to you. In my opinion, the tax excuse, and I will call it that, the tax excuse is just another excuse, because actually you can say, oh, but I don't want to start a business because if I start the business, I might fail. I put the tax element in that same bucket. You can't say, oh, I don't want to go and earn millions because if I earn millions, then I'm going to pay tax. That's quite, I think is a bit concerning if that's how you think. I would rather earn the millions and pay the tax and be a millionaire than say, oh, because I don't want to pay tax, I'm just going to keep my salary. That's like saying, because the tax-free allowance is £12,500, I only want to earn £12,500 every year. Who loses out when you do that? It's not Mr. Boris in Parliament that's losing out. The only person that's losing out is you, because now you've capped your income at 12,500 just because you don't want to pay tax. Likewise with your business. Oh, we have a £1,000 allowance, so let me just earn £1,000 so that I don't have to. Who is losing out? Who is losing out? At the end of the day, the government is not asking you for anything that you did not make or you did not earn. They're not taking money from what you already have. It's out of the abundance that you have that they're asking for their piece. And I think that as Christians, we should be willing to do that and willing to pay.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. So that's that abundant mindset, right? Because the more tax you're paying, it means that you're earning even more.
Exactly.
That's actually the way to look at it. Okay, more questions coming in. How are the limited company going to affect the IR35? That's from Molson.
Yeah. So the IR35 rule that's going to be, it's a pause because of coronavirus, but eventually when it comes in, what they're saying is many people have set up companies and said that they are contractors. And so therefore they should be paid the whole sum of their salary and then they will do the tax afterwards. But actually what they're finding is that these people that were claiming to be contractors are actually just employees. So there are IR35 rules and questions if you go onto the gov.uk website, which you can answer. So for example, as a so-called contractor that you claim to be, are you going to the same organization every single day? Are you using their equipment or are you using your equipment? Can you send somebody else to do the job or does it have to be you? So when you start to ask these questions, it starts to build up a picture about the kind of contractor you claim to be. And actually what is happening is that when you answer these questions, some people are finding out, actually, no, you're just a glorified employee. And so because you're a glorified employee, the tax saving that they were giving to people because they were contractors and they were able to take off their expenses and all of that kind of thing, which employees don't get to do, what they've done is they've added on another, I believe it's 5%, I may be wrong, but I believe it's an extra 5% tax that needs to be paid on your income as a contractor, in addition to whatever else you're paying. So basically, it's just a way of saying, the benefit that you would have got of being an actual contractor. The reason why contractors are paid as much as they are paid is because they don't have that permanent security, you know, oh, every month my employer is going to pay me, every month I'm going to get this, every month a contractor can be terminated today and they can ask them to leave the building. So that's why they pay them a bit extra, so that for the down period, the time when they might not have a job, they have been able to maybe save some income that can cover them. So what they're saying is that benefit that you think you were getting, I have determined, or the government have determined, that actually you're just an employee, so you don't deserve that benefit, and so we're going to take it away. Like I said, you can imagine if it was a case of you are using your own equipment, your own materials, you could send somebody else. The extra money that you're getting by being paid as a contractor would obviously go to those costs. But now you say you're a contractor, but we're the ones to give you a laptop, we're the ones to do this. You can't send somebody. Do you get what I mean? So what they're trying to do is just flatten the curve so that it's not a case of, oh, when I go as a contractor, then I earn way more than everybody else. That's just what they're doing.
Yeah, I get that. So let me just add on to that question. So if you start a limited company and you are a contractor, how would that affect your, and Muslim, let me know if you've got the answer to your question, but would that affect your tax or your finances in any way or would it just be the same as
so are you saying
an employee was starting another limited company?
So you're saying somebody is a contractor and then they are also opening a limited company. So if you're a contractor, you probably have a limited company already, because what's happening is that the employer is paying you via your limited company. So assuming you're in the same business, i.e. as an accountant, I might do 1 day or 2 days for X company as a contractor, and then I also do another 1 or 2 days for B company. I should be able to put that all under my one company. However, if we're talking about the circumstance where I'm doing accounting services as a contractor, but then I decide to open up, I don't know, a fast food company or something like that, then yes, you would need to have a separate company. What would happen is that company A, as an accountant, I would be paying my tax on my profit there. Company B, I would also be paying my tax as a fast food restaurant owner, but then in the middle is me, who's the director, and I would pay tax as an individual based on however much I draw down from here and however much I draw down from there. And if, just to make it even more complicated, if I have another employment or whatever, all of that would come as me, Benedicta, in the middle. So you've drawn down from these 5 different sources. Therefore, you, Benedicta, you need to pay this. But company A needs to pay tax on its profit. Company B needs to pay tax on its profit. Company C needs to pay tax on its profit. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, that makes perfect sense. But let's know, Muslin, if that makes perfect sense. And I hope I pronounced your name right. Let me know the pronunciation in the chat if I got it wrong. Please do. Okay. Another question that came through is, what percentage of tax do you need to save for self-assessment?
So for self-assessment, remember, everybody in the country, whether you're a limited company or a PAYE employee, everybody has £12,500 allowance. So above anything you earn over and above 12,500, you will need to pay tax, which is normally going to be at the standard rate, you know, the basic rate, which is the 20%. However, that 20% is made up of, you know, some national insurance, some actual tax. So I would say roughly 20% over and above 12,500. But obviously, sometimes you might not know when you reach that limit. So in the meantime, maybe what you want to do is actually just save 10% of every single invoice that comes through. If you save 10% of every single invoice that comes through, by the time you get to the end of the year and you do your checks and balances, it should all add up. It should all, you know, match off. What I would also say is, for self-employed people specifically, I have a self-employed budgeting service, which actually helps you. So, you know, you begin to put your invoices every month, and then it starts to show you how much tax you might be liable for by the end of the year, and therefore how much you should save on a monthly basis. So if anyone is, you know, particularly concerned about that, you're already registered as a self-employed, you are a little bit concerned about your tax, I think that service might be relevant for you. And of course, you can contact me about that.
Yes, definitely. So guys, you've heard that. If you are self-employed and you want this budgeting service, so you know exactly how much you need to be putting aside each month, definitely contact Benedicta. Okay, another question. Rather than keeping your cash in your business, can you invest it?
Yes, and I love that question, because this is the mindset we want. Rather than thinking, oh, I don't want to earn money so that I don't pay tax, actually what we should be saying is, actually, I've earned this amount of money. Okay, maybe to reduce my tax burden, I'm going to invest it. That is the most sensible thing that you can do. Investing it, you know, so that the business can continue to yield returns in the future. Amazing. Perfect.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Another question. So and that was, you know, so that was a great question. And another question is, what's the difference between being inside IR35 and being a fixed term employee?
So being inside IR35, you would still be a contractor. They would still pay your limited company. However, you would have to pay, what would happen is that they would take off a percentage. So the employer who's employing you, rather than, let's say your day rate was £100 a day. Before, they would pay you the whole £100, yeah? But the employer is having to pay a fee. So what they would do is, rather than that £100, they might now pay you £95 because the role is inside IR35, right? And then you go ahead and do your tax and all of that. A fixed term employee is basically an employee. The only thing is that it's for, as it says, either 12 months or 6 months or 24 months. Because you're technically a fixed term employee, all the PAYE tax and all of that happens as normal. It's just that at the end of the 2-year period or 12-month period, whatever the fixed term is, there's no obligation for them to keep you in the role, which means that, for example, whereas a permanent employee, let's say after a year or two, they wanted to get rid of them, they might have to pay them redundancy, for example. As a fixed term employee, you sign up to that contract knowing fully well that at the end of the fixed term, you may not be taken on board, but there is no compensation for that because it was already established at the beginning. And then, like I say, as an IR35 person, you still have your limited company. They'll still pay your limited company, but you will be paid a slightly reduced rate from the advertised rate.
Great, thank you so much. So another question that came into me personally was, if I've mixed my personal and business finances together, how do I untangle them?
So maybe you might need to elaborate on how, when you say you've mixed them together, is it that maybe you didn't have a business bank account?
No, no business bank account. So everything goes into the personal bank account. And
how do you untangle it? So if you have your invoices for your business, everything that you earn from the business should have some kind of paper trail, or even if it is just the transaction that went in. I would highly suggest that you add up all of that for the last for your business's financial year, right? When you add that up, let's say, you received £1,000 here, £2,000 here, 500 here. When you add it all up, let's say it comes up to £10,000. You owe your business £10,000, first of all. So you might be taking that £10,000 from your account. Maybe it's actually there already. It's just that you couldn't figure it out. So now you've checked to see, okay, these are the 10 invoices that I received, or the 20 invoices. It all added up to £10,000. I want to, technically my business should have had £10,000 income. The next thing you want to do is you want to say, right, what were the actual business expenses? So I'm not talking about your weekly food shop now, or your dresses or your hair and makeup or anything like that, but the business incurred expenses. So for example, if you have a website for your business, or maybe you had to pay an invoice for somebody who helped you to do the logo of your business or something like that, specific business expenses, the definition is that they have to be incurred wholly and entirely for the purpose of the business. So anything that comes under that, you can take that away. So let's say you've done your invoices now, you've got £10,000, and then your expenses, actual business expenses, comes up to £2,000, for example. The net amount, which is £8,000, is what should be sitting in your business account. So that's what you would ultimately need to transfer to your business account, and that's what would ultimately become, taxable, basically, at the end of the year.
Awesome, great. So I got a couple more questions on the live chat. I'll just pick this one because it kind of ties in with what you're talking about now. If I decide to pay for training or a course to help educate me as a business owner and improve my services, is that a business or a personal expense?
So it depends whether you're self-employed or you are a limited company. If you are self-employed, unfortunately, training is not actually considered as a business expense. But if you are a limited company, that can come under training, under your limited company. But there are some, it depends. Like I say, it depends. And what will happen is that it will be taken off from your expenses, but it might not be, it would be taken off for your profit, from your tax on your profit for your business.
Great, thank you. Okay, so another question, why do the tax code, do you know why the tax code is different for married couples and single people?
So the tax code shouldn't be different per se, unless you have actually reached out to the HMRC to say that you want to claim married couples allowance. What married couples allowance does is it says, okay, you've got these two people, husband and wife, husband, Mr. and Mrs. A, yeah? Mr. and Mrs. A. Mr. A works, but Mrs. A does not. So when you contact them and you say you want to claim the married couples allowance, what happens is Mrs. A does not work, but because they live together in a house, if Mrs. A was working, they would have both received £12,500 each taxable allowance, tax-free allowance. But what it says is, we know that Mrs. A is not working, but you are one household. So what we would do is we would take that personal allowance from Mrs. A and we will put it also on Mr. A's account. So what that does is that when you the net position, like I said, what HMRC try to do, they try to balance everyone out. They don't want to make one set of people richer than another set of people. But what they try to do is, by moving that allowance onto Mr. A's account, it means that actually the equivalent position, the tax that they will pay him is equivalent for his earnings, is equivalent to what would have happened if both Mr. and Mrs. A were both working and were both being taxed individually. Does that make sense? So it helps to merge the household as a couple. But that, again, that doesn't happen standard. It's only if you actually contact them. It shouldn't, yeah.
Thank you so much for that, Benedicta. I think that's cleared that up. Okay, another question. So we had, we just following on from the question of investing your profits. Someone else has asked, any suggestion regarding investment companies?
Is that companies to invest in, or is it what my company can invest in? Or I think
maybe you would like to, Auntie Ro, if you could clarify if you're talking about companies to invest in, or what the company is investing in now, her company is invested in. Okay, another question.
I would just say on that, though, if you are looking for investment for yourself as an individual, then it shouldn't be via your company. But if your company is investing in something, then it should be around the same kind of, it needs to make sense for your company. So a hair company should not be really investing in food products, for example. It's just not quite, it should match up basically. So when we talk about investing in your company, when I said it before that that's a good idea, I would say, for example, if you're buying machinery, that kind of stuff that can help your business to be, to flourish more. That's what I meant in terms of investing, not necessarily as in going to another investment company to buy stocks and shares, if that makes sense.
Yes, so that makes sense. So you were saying to invest in growing your company, to invest in making it better,
exactly,
in, positioning yourself so that you can even make more money and
exactly
your income going forward. Okay, so I think she meant to invest in as a self-employed individual. So that in my mind, I'm thinking that you're talking about private stocks and shares.
Exactly, yes. So I have, sorry, you can go on.
No, you can answer.
So as an individual, so now forgetting the company side, yes, you might be self-employed, but you're technically an individual. So with that, it would be a case of, I do have a service, it's called the Alternative Investing Service. That is more for people who want to invest passively without, learning how to trade or anything like that, different companies and stuff like that. I won't share that here because it is a paid service. But yes, there are definitely companies that you can recommend that have been certified and legitimate that you can use for your personal investment. And I'm sure, Elizabeth, you have all of that going on as well because you teach people how to invest.
Yes. So, yes, that's exactly what I do. I do teach people how to invest. And what I do say is that investing is a plan. So knowing exactly why you are investing, what you want to achieve is really important so that you can pick the right things for you without getting scared when the market starts acting funny. Mm-hmm. Okay, so back to companies. Another question, are there benefits for creating a subsidiary in your company?
So it depends on for what reasons you're trying to do it. So if you're trying to do it for tax evasion purposes, probably not, but you need to recognize that creating a subsidiary will also mean more administrative burden. So the same way, if you have 5 companies, you need to do 5 sets of accounts. It's a similar thing with the subsidiary. There needs to be a clear reason. And this is where you need probably that financial advice to understand, okay, what is your business? Why do you think you need to have a subsidiary and all of that? If they are related in terms of tasks and stuff, I would say you probably don't need it. But most of the time when people create subsidiaries, it's actually because maybe they want to trade in another country. So, the rules and regulations of country A are different from the rules and regulations of country B, but you want them to be connected somehow. So if you think about someone like Amazon, they have their companies all over the world. So there's Amazon, which is the ultimate Amazon, which is in the US. Every other company under would be a subsidiary and actually subject to US tax law. So it's all about taxes. So I need to understand the purpose and why you think you might need a subsidiary. It's not something you can just say yes or no to.
Thank you so much for that. And probably one of our last questions, and if you have any question, you could drop it in the chat because our time is long gone. But just on the topic of taxes, as a limited company, if someone just registers their company now, what taxes do they have to be mindful of paying, and when would that be due? So let's say, like, now following on this conversation, they decide, actually, based on my plans, I'm going to register as a limited company.
Yeah.
What taxes should they bear in mind that they're going to have to pay, and when do they think that will be coming up for their first time?
Yeah. So every company, the day you register becomes the first day of your financial year. So today is what, the 6th? Is today the 6th? The 6th of March. So if you register your company today, your financial year for your business now, so not the general financial year for the whole world, the financial year for your business will be from the 6th of March for this first year. But actually, so let me just, there's two ways. The 6th of March for this first year, all the way up until the 31st of March for the following year. Yeah, so 31st of March 2022 would be the end of your financial year, and you would have 9 months to submit a tax return. And actually, I believe it's 9 months to submit a tax return, and actually another 12 months to pay the tax, I believe. No, it's the other way around. 9 months to pay the tax and 12 months to submit the tax return. The reason why they do that, obviously, the government wants their money. But number two, just in case maybe you do some checks and balances and you realize, actually, no, I didn't submit the right thing, you have an extra 3 months after your tax, after you've paid your tax, to adjust the numbers and submit your final tax return. Now, that's for the first year because you registered on the 6th. After the 31st of March 2022, your accounting year adjusts so that it's for a full month, yeah? So that you're not having to do, the 6th, because you registered on the 6th, you're not having to do the couple of days between the 6th and the 31st anymore. So from 2022, your actual accounting period would be from the end of, so the 1st of April to the end of March every year. And so you would do your 9 months tax, 9 months after the end of the year to pay your tax, and 12 months to submit your tax return.
Amazing. So for the corporation tax, you run your business for the first year, and
yes,
then you have an extra 12 months to, 9 to 12 months to
yes,
start your tax and pay it out. So
exactly.
your due date will not be 2022, it will be 2023.
Yes, mind you, as much as this is not a tax, I'm an accountant, so I have to say it. You need to pay your accountant to sort that out for you.
Yes.
Unless you're an accountant, you can sort it out yourself, because many people register their companies and they don't realize the cost of the accountant to actually help them do the return. So, you need to factor that in as well.
To get an accountant to sort your accounts for you, make it nice and easy for yourself. Great. And then, so that's corporation tax. Do we also have, once you start a limited liability company, do you also have to do self-assessment tax as well? Exactly.
So your business has its own tax. We've just talked about that. But you, as the company director, you will also, by way of being a company director, you also implicate yourself for an extra tax as well. Of course, this will depend on what you draw down. Even if you don't draw down anything, though, you are still supposed to submit a return. But like I said, if you're a director and you just take down the dividend, there's a £2,000 tax-free dividend that you're eligible for anyway. And then anything over and above that, there is first of all, it's 7.5% on the lower tax rate. So you can earn up to 33K or so on the 7.5% as a dividend. And then outside of that, it goes up to 33% tax implication as a dividend. Of course, this has not taken into consideration if you have a full-time job and you have income elsewhere. If you have a full-time job, this will, of course, affect the tax rate that you pay on the other side as a company director.
Great. And when will those be due for your first year?
So it will be due whenever you take the dividend. So whenever you actually draw the money down from your company in that financial year. So that financial year for self-assessment is April to March, 6th of April to 5th of April every year. So as an individual, we all follow that cycle, and then the company is what has its own, business or accounting year cycle, if that makes sense. So if you run your business for 1 year and you don't take out any money, technically you don't need to do a self-assessment. But in the year that you take out your dividend, or however it is that you decide to take the money down, that's when your tax would be due for the following financial year, i.e. end of April, 5th of April every year.
Great. And that would also be 12 months later.
Exactly.
Great, for the first time. Okay. A couple more questions coming through. Are you liable for tax if your company isn't currently trading?
No. So if your company is not trading, then you should have told Companies House that your company is dormant, and also told HMRC that your company is dormant. You will have to file dormant company accounts, which is much cheaper and much simpler. However, if you don't tell HMRC, they don't know that you're not trading. So, but if you tell them, then they will not require a tax return from you. But once you start trading again, you need to let them know, and then they will start waiting for you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that, Benedicta. Another question. Are there any tax implications if I have clients from outside the UK, service-based business?
When you say if you have clients from outside the UK, it's not really about them. It's about you and your company. So where are you receiving the income? Your company is registered here. How much have you received into your company? It doesn't matter wherever in the world it comes from. How much have you received? Therefore, you'll then pay a tax on that. And, obviously there might be some foreign exchange gains and losses that might need to be calculated, but ultimately it's about you and the income you have received.
Great, awesome. Another one is tax return the same as self-assessment?
Not for a company. So you have a company tax return, but if we're talking about individuals, yes, you have tax return, individual tax return and self-assessment. That's the same thing. But your company has its own company tax return.
Great, awesome. Now another question. Please, can I register my business and not pay tax? I'm not earning up to the government requirement to pay tax.
So understand that your business is a separate individual, right? There's the aspect of you and you not earning that much money. That is you as an individual and relates to how much you draw down from your company. Yeah, but your company, regardless of whether you draw down money to your personal bank account or not, or you take a dividend, your company will have to pay its own tax, which is the 19% corporation tax. So whatever income and losses come for your company, the company will always pay that tax. Even if you only earned £1,000 income and you spent £800 in expenses and there was £200, you're supposed to pay 19% on that £200. But that's the company. That's the company. When we talk about you as an individual, now, if you decide to take money from that company and put it in your pocket, that's where however much you earn as an individual or not earn, that's where that comes into play. But your company will always have to pay its own tax.
Right. Thank you. And is having an accountant a business expense?
Yes, it is a business expense, but not for self-employed. If you're self-employed, the cost of an accountant to do your tax return is not a business expense. But if you are a limited company, then the cost of your accountant is a business expense.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering all those questions, Benedicta. Guys, I hope this has been very beneficial to you to know how to keep more money, how to increase your income, why we need an abundant mindset when starting a business. It's very different mindset from when you're working 9 to 5 and you're expecting consistent income. When you're creating something and you have the power to reduce it or increase it, that mindset is so, so important. So I'm hearing great session. Thank you so much. Guys. Now, before we leave, you know that I always ask us to do the same thing, because I always say information without understanding is pointless. So drop in the chat, please, one thing that you have taken away from this session. It doesn't matter how little, how big, how long, let me know one thing you have taken away from this session. Let me know in the chat. So I'm getting a lot of thank yous and thank yous. Sylvia says the devil tried, but it didn't work. Yep, exactly. Thank you. Very informative session. Thank you. Yeah, thank you guys for showing up. But please let me know in the chat. I want to know exactly what you've learned, what you're going to take away from this. I don't want you to just leave with, oh, that was a great session. I want you to leave with, I actually learned ABC. I'm getting this. So Sylvia says she's learned the difference between business and personal expense. Amazing. That is so, so important, because as you start your business, I know you said you're a 3, you're moving to a 2 or a 1. No, you're moving to a 2. As you start, that business, and for those who weren't there in the beginning, 3s are full-time employees, 2s are people in a company, so it's not like an inside joke. But so as you start that, you want to know how to differentiate it so it's not so commingled up, and so that you don't owe yourself so much money.
Yes.
So Esther says to put aside 10% of my earnings every month. Amazing. Yes. That way you're always prepared for tax when it comes up. You're never going to be, shocked, right? Letitia says informative. I like the mindset part and how to put a price on products. Yes. That is so key, because that's one way to quickly increase your income in 2020. Increasing the price of our products, up leveling, ensuring that we're delivering the best that we can do. Therefore, then you can put a price on it that is reflective of how much effort and how much, what you're actually giving your clients or your customers. Simone says different types of business, self-employed versus limited company. That's what she's amazing. We all need to know these differences. Sometimes the keywords and the words used in these things, they're so confusing. You go to company's house, you hear this, you hear that. Really confusing, and it holds a lot of us back. So at least now we're learning that, and having conversations like this helps to demystify these words. Definitely. Okay, I need an abundant mindset. Yes, we all need abundant mindsets. That's great. Queen Victoria, she says, don't run away from paying tax. If you do that, you're robbing yourself of more money than you can earn. Yeah. And you know something about tax, the way the words that are used around tax are almost scary and negative, like the words the government uses around tax implications. It sounds like you're going to be implicated. It makes you feel a bit like, oh, you don't even know. Like, so the words that are used around it, even in governments and stuff like that, it sometimes holds you back. But don't run away from paying tax. If you do that, you're robbing yourself. True. So Auntie Rose says the advantages and disadvantages of self-employed and limited company. Exactly. No one is better than the other. You just need to know what your goal is, what you're trying to achieve, and then you pick the one that meets that. If you're trying to grow a big company, then you probably want to be limited company. If you're trying to stay small, then it might be self-employed. The teacher said tax means you're earning more money. Yeah, ka-ching, 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 ka-ching. Tax means you're earning more money. Yeah, because the more tax you're paying, tax is only a percentage. They're not going to charge you, like Benedicta said. You're not going to be charged for money you don't earn, right? So, okay, Fisaya says, thank you, very exciting. I learned to see tax as a type that needs to be paid, and also to have a positive mindset. Yeah, even Jesus says that we should pay to Caesar what's due to Caesar.
Exactly.
Tax is useful for so many things in our society. It helps, ensure that our bins are taken, the roads are fixed. So it's good to pay tax. It's very, very good to pay tax.
Yeah.
As much as you're supposed to, pay the right amount of tax.
The right amount, exactly.
Yeah, it's good to pay the right amount of tax that you are supposed to. And also, definitely engage an accountant, when you're doing your tax return, so that you make sure you're not overpaying on tax. You're not underpaying as well. You don't want to get a bill later, so you're paying the right amount of tax for your business, right? I have a better understanding of how to manage my business, better knowledge of what a limited company means and what it means to invest in my business. Amazing. I love that statement. I love that statement, Lide. That's amazing. Thanks, Benedicta and Tobisi, for a wonderful session, just differentiating the types of businesses so one knows which to go for when setting up a bit. Yeah, exactly. And that alone can hold people back. You think you want to do something, but you don't do it because you're just not sure. Confusion is the thief, the thief of time. Yeah. Okay. I'm so grateful that I'm learning this before starting my business. To be honest about your income, and don't try to evade tax. Exactly. You shouldn't evade tax. There is something called tax avoidance, which is completely legal. And if you get an accountant, they can help you through that. But evasion is not legal. It's very illegal. Application of 10% tithing similar to tax returns. Yeah, that was awesome. It's good to be a woman of integrity. Yes. It's good to be and okay, thank you guys for all your insights. This is amazing. And you know what this does? This not only reminds you of what you've learned, but it's also reminding other people what, they might have missed something that you gained. And now we're helping each other. We're helping each other grow. We're helping each other get better. And that is, what community is about. So that's amazing. Thank you guys for putting your insights there. Benedicta, again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Tell us more about where, if people want to work with you, where we can find you, where, are you on social media? Where
maybe I should actually type it in here. So Benny Ratio Finances. You can check out my website, which talks more about personal finance. But if you book a session with me or go to book a consultation, you'll see there's a form there for business finance or personal finance. So if you click on the business finance one, we can, book a session, some time in my diary. We can have a chat about your business needs and, what you need to do next in terms of from an accounting point of view, business finance. Alternatively, you can just follow me on social media. I am always giving out gems. I love to talk about this stuff, like you say, to demystify these big, crazy words and just make them simple. So Instagram is Benny Ratio Finances, and that's it.
Yeah, so guys, that's www.bennyratiofinances.com. Benny's BENI ratio RATIO finances FINANCES.com. So now you can't say you can't read because you okay, so that's it. If you need her, you need to, you need Benedicta in your life, definitely log on today. Now before we go, and do follow her on Instagram. If you're on Instagram at Benny Ratio Finances, again, follow. She has so much information on her platform. Now, before we leave, Benedicta, can you tell us something about yourself that we don't know here? Not me, I might know it, but maybe.
In what area? I don't know.
Well, I know you do WOP, so.
How do you know that I do WOP? Okay. So I actually have actually that would be a good one. I actually have a women's ministry called Women on Purpose. And I actually have a book, which still surprises me because I am a talker. I am not a writer, but I have a book called The Woman on Purpose. And it talks about, being created, living and walking on purpose. And that is very dear to my heart. I'm a women's ministry leader.
What's the ministry called? Is it on Instagram? Can we follow you there?
You can follow me, on my personal page, just Benedicta_WOP. Or you can go on YouTube. I have a lot of YouTube videos because that's where I mainly share the teachers. We're actually doing a series, which is very interesting, which is about the women of the Bible. So we've been going through every single woman in the Bible, and we're going to go through all of them. And every week I'm so excited because these stories are interesting, but we bring the old ancient woman in the Bible, we bring her into the 21st century and we learn some lessons. So if you have time, go and watch some of the videos. They're amazing, even if I do say so myself.
yeah, definitely amazing. Thank you so much, Benedicta. You're an accountant, you're a financial coach, you run your business, and you are a minister as well. You run Women on Purpose. That's amazing, multi-talented. Thank you so much for being here. And guys, thank every single one of you for staying till the end, despite all the tech hiccups. All amazing and highly blessed and favored. God bless you all. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, elizabeth@wealthfromlittle.com. You have any issues, you're worried about your finances. Like I said, I help women change the way they think about money so they can start building wealth. And that is talking about money management skills, getting out of debt, shifting from living paycheck to paycheck and starting to invest so you can actually grow your wealth. So if you need any help in any of that, definitely send me an email, elizabeth@wealthfromlittle. You probably got this, you got my emails this morning, so you can book a call with me, send me an email that you would like to speak to me. And if you need help with your business finances, Benedicta has definitely left her website for you to get through to her. You are all amazing and awesome people. Thank you so much. It's been amazing to spend my morning with you all, and with you, Benedicta. Thank you again. So I'm going to say bye. And if you guys want to put on your cameras to say bye to her and just let her know, Let her feel some love. You can.
Thank
So you
you
can drop some
all
hearts
so much for bearing with me as well. Thank you, guys.
It was amazing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I'm so glad that we stayed. We stayed
Yes.
through to listen to all you had to share. And thank you for being so generous with your information. Thank you. I see everyone. I see everyone. The cameras. It's lovely. Lovely to see your lovely faces. Hey, yay! Okay, I'll let you guys enjoy the rest of your
Have
afternoon.
a lovely Saturday.
And enjoy the rest of March. You know, it's Women's Day this
Monday.
Day this week.
Yes.
So
Monday.
happy Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day, which is on Monday.
Thanks,
Love you guys
guys.
all.
Bye.
Bye.